Okay, cool. Cool. So nobody's saying anything, so I'm just gonna assume if you're not saying anything, that it's like a yes. Someone replied. Okay, cool. So, because you guys seem to have gone into a place where you're ready to start, doing full-on debates, because you guys did really good at the practice debate last week. I think you guys should start considering doing some PF tournaments. It will be on a new topic, but I've seen novices from my old middle school team do really well at these tournaments because these like ninth graders, these freshmen don't have the amount of experience you guys have. So the way tournaments usually work is they have 5 preliminary rounds, and then they have break rounds based on the number of people that participate. Because tournaments are online right now, you're looking at least 32 teams, which means that it's going to at 31 teams, which means that it's going to be 8 teams advance to quarterfinals, and then the break rounds continue. So the way these tournaments work is they have 3 debate rounds on Friday and 2 debate rounds on Saturday, along with 3 IE rounds or speech rounds intermixed. So a speech round, a debate round, a speech round, a debate round, a speech round. You can do both speech and debate, but you can't do two debates. If you do Congress, you can't do a speech because Congress and speech are at the same time, and other stuff. Because we're not in person, there's a lot less things you have to worry about. But I think the most important things are just you're gonna get phone notifications about pairings and things like that. If not, you need to know the schedule. You'll get like what's some Nicole, do you have anything to add? Like, what are some like tournament things they should know about?
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I think the main thing that y'all should be worrying about is like the interface of the website. So sometimes some tournaments use like they give you a link that takes you to like a Zoom, or a Teams meeting, and sometimes the tournaments will be using NDF Campus, which basically it's like if you go to your tap room account, there's like a video icon, and if you click on it, it opens a new tab, and it like starts the meeting. So I think that's the main thing that you have to worry about, but it's like not too complicated. I mean, we're all like Gen Z, right? I'm pretty sure everyone knows how to use technology. And like just make sure like the week before, I mean sorry, not the week before, like the day before the tournament, you go and test out the things. Um yeah, other than that, there's not a lot to worry. Like on the homepage, you should also read the tournament invitations to see the schedules. And some tournaments have like weird rules. So it's always good to like look over that. But I would say online is a lot easier.
Yeah. That's accurate. I think on like some more nuance or like not nuance, but like details that you'll probably figure out eventually. I guess specific to online, you're gonna have to be communicating with your partner over phone. So I recommend you call your partner like on your phone, keep that call on the entire time, and just unmute when you want to talk to them. Um, some other stuff. All of the local tournaments this year are going to be online. I'm pretty sure they already announced that. So if you do participate in one, it's not going to be in person. Um, Maving, if you have a conflict, you can either get a 3-team or have your partner Mav. A 3-team is a much better idea if you know you're going to have a conflict, but if not, you can Mav and your partner can go up to 2 rounds by themselves. For their students. I mean, actually, like to be honest, anybody can do them. The more tournaments you do, the better you get, and the faster you get better. So I highly recommend doing them. There's nothing wrong with like, um, oh, okay, I guess, yeah, like everybody can participate if you want. Trust me, like once you start getting to high school, you have so many commitments and things like that that it starts getting really hard. Um, and people actually want to go to more tournaments at that time, which is So I recommend getting some in, while you're younger, and then once you get to like ninth grade, you'll start like tearing up all of these like 11th graders like me, like my novices beat me. So
Yeah,
I am a
yeah.
personal testament. But
Okay.
we don't talk about that. So yeah, actually some of my novices from last year, they're now at Redmond. They were really good. They won Bear Creek as eighth graders, the entire novice thing, and then our other novices broke at Bear Creek. So it's definitely possible to do really well at these tournaments. Um, and you guys have, some of the top open debaters in Washington available to ask. Like I'm telling you guys, once you get to high school, Nicole, myself, we're gonna be like, yeah, you got to do your own work. But right now we're available to help you guys with whatever you need.
Yes. Okay. Exactly. As Ishan was talking about tournaments. Okay. Now let's move on
To
to
something more interesting.
the speech redos. Okay.
Yeah,
So last week I asked y'all to keep your flows. Did anyone not keep their flow?
I think it's better if. Did anyone keep their flows?
Juliana, you didn't keep your flow. Okay. I think it was because like so for some reason like you dipped a little early. No, actually I just came.
No, that was Jacqueline.
Wait. So do you have your? So you don't have your flows, right?
I didn't really flow in the first place.
What? How did you give a speech if you didn't flow?
Well, I kind of just wrote down what I was going to say, but then I deleted that.
Oh dear. Okay. Well, that's gonna be tough. But did everyone else keep their flows? Okay, Ishan, did you keep your flows?
Of the practice round?
Yeah.
No, I did not.
Okay, how about this? I'll just like give everyone a quick summary, kind of like I think since a lot of people have forgot. Okay, so Neg went first this round, and then Af went second. So what Neg said was contention one is South Korea. Basically, the U.S. security umbrella with nukes first use protects South Korea. When the U.S. gets rid of their first use, South Korea feels threatened by North Korea because North Korea has like conventional military nukes, bioweapons, chemical weapons, and the U.S. can like not deter like anything that's not nuclear, right? So South Korea, okay, so basically U.S. gets an NFU, South Korea will be scared of North Korea, South Korea will build nukes, and then North Korea will be like, holy crap, South Korea is building nukes. I gotta like invade or like nuke them first, or else like if they get a nuke, then they could nuke me, right? So North Korea will make a preemptive strike, which could lead to like another Korean war. Contention two is Saudi Arabia, which is basically the U.S. nuclear umbrella also protects Saudi Arabia from like regional enemies. But when the U.S. doesn't help Saudi Arabia lashes out in the form of proxy conflicts to contain Iran. So like Saudi Arabia and Iran are like worst enemies, right? So we've talked about this. And basically a proxy war is like when you're not actually fighting each other like in real life or like within your own countries, but you're like fighting in another country. So let's say like Ishan and I hate each other and we both have a ton of money and like troops. It's like what we're gonna do is we're gonna like start a war at like Interlake, but not at our own houses, right? We're gonna like start bombing Interlake. So I'm gonna like give money to like the ninth graders and Ishan's gonna give money to the 10th graders and they're gonna like fight each other. And like I'm trying to like let the ninth graders win. So that's basically a proxy war, right? Saudi Arabia is supporting the Yemen government in the country of Yemen, and then Iran is supporting the rebels in Yemen. And basically, they're having a proxy war, which kills millions of people. So even if you don't understand what a proxy war is, it just kills millions of people. It's a war. Okay. And then contention three is China. Basically, the U.S. has deterred Chinese aggression, and right now is a tipping point because China is like testing the waters to see how America will respond. And basically, U.S. NFU will show that like America doesn't care about like the South China Sea, which means China will like invade places like Taiwan. And then because of, like we have a bunch of allies in the region, people are gonna be like, bro, you gotta help me. And then it'll lead to a quasi world war, which will kill 80 million people. All right, and then the thing that Ishan said against this, against the first contention, first he talks about how there's a second strike capability, which means our allies are reassured. But he talks about on South Korea, he talks about how like there would be sanctions on South Korea, and they like don't like sanctions because it makes your economy bad, so South Korea won't build nukes. And then he also talks about how the U.S. has a conventional military. And conventional is everything that is not nuclear. So like the U.S. still has like strong like airplanes and like troops, right? So we can still protect South Korea that way. There's no reason why they should be scared. And then he reads this like non-unique, which basically like allies don't trust our nuclear umbrella in both worlds anyway. So if they are going to proliferate, it's always going to happen. Yeah, and then he talks about how like most citizens in like South Korea don't really want a NFU. And then on Saudi Arabia, he talks about how Saudi Arabia will also never proliferate because like economic sanctions is bad for them. But then he also like, and then he talks about how like Iran proliferating means Saudi will prolif, and basically like Iran is proliferating because the U.S. has a first use, which basically turns the argument. So basically, like in the neg world right now, Saudi will prolif. Like Saudi will prolif in the neg world because Iran is building nukes, but in the AF world, they'll solve for that because they'll get an NFU, which Iran will stop building nukes. And then he doesn't have time to go on to China. So obviously China is what you should be going for in the summary. Right, and then on Ishan's case, so he's F, and Ishan said contention 1 is miscalculation. Basically, he's saying right now we have the highest tensions ever because of first use. Our enemies are always like, oh my God, there's a bird on the radar. I think that's a U.S. missile, or like the radar tells them something wrong. So then they like, you know, like try to like nuke the U.S. first, right? And then one nuke can kill millions of people. His contention 2 is China. Basically, a U.S.-China arms race will occur right now because the U.S. doesn't have an NFU. But with an NFU will prevent that arms race, which could lead to a South China Sea arms race. But then on Iran, and then contention 3 is Iran. Basically, Iran is nuclearizing right now because the U.S. has a first use. And if Iran got a nuke, Israel would nuke Iran, which would lead to a war that would kill millions of people. And then his contention 4 is North Korea, which is basically NFU will lead to a nuclear deal with North Korea, which saves 10 million people. Right. And then Hannah's responses to this, against contention 1 on miscalculation, she talks about how like if our allies prolif, like on the neg case, South Korea, Saudi Arabia, then that leads to more miscalculation. So that's a turn. And then she talks about how like radar tech is the reason why miscalculation happens, not because anything else. But we've like made it better. Like technology is better, and we have hotlines, so miscalculation won't happen anymore. Yeah, and people like don't accidentally go to war because like that's a bad idea. And then on contention 3, Hannah talks about how there's going to be an Iran-US Biden deal, which means that Iran will stop proliferating because there's going to be like a nuclear deal where the US is like, yeah, I'll be nice to you, and then Iran's like, yeah, okay, I'll stop building nukes. And then on North Korea, Hannah talks about how Kim Jong-un will never negotiate with the U.S. because like the U.S. historically has like, hey, I'll take sanctions off, or like I won't like invade your country if you like get rid of your nukes. But like they haven't like upheld most of those promises like in Ukraine and other places. So that's why Kim Jong-un won't believe the U.S.'s NFU, or like he won't reach a nuclear deal even if there is an NFU. So in response to that, Ishan says we have like new missiles that don't have good technology, which could lead to miscalculation. And then he talks about Iran. So he doesn't talk about his China contention, so he basically like drops it. And then on Iran, he talks about a Biden deal is like a short-term solution to a long-term problem because we're always going to have another like president like Trump who's going to like back out of the deal, and then Iran's going to start nuclearizing again. And like, yeah, that's really bad because that would lead to the impact. So instead, an NFU would be the long-term solution. And on North Korea, he talks about how like he just like reasserts his case. So there's not really a response. But okay. So basically, does anyone have like any questions? Hopefully you were writing notes while I just like restated the entire round. But okay, does anyone have like any questions? Okay, nobody does. So how about this? I'm going to give a summary, and then Ishan's going to give a summary as well. Actually, yes.
Some of the I have like that disappointment really soon, but some of the kids can give a summary.
Ishan. Okay. Well, that's Ishan for you, y'all. Anyways, okay. I changed my mind. Actually, no. I am going to do a neg summary. So everyone, I'm going to be defending the neg side, okay? And just listen to my summary. It's going to be 3 minutes long. And Juliana, make sure you flow this one. Everyone else, make sure you're flowing this on your paper. Make sure you're writing it down. Okay, I'm going to give everyone a second. All right, is everyone ready to write down my summary? Okay, I'll assume that's a yes. So let me just see what I'm going to go for. Okay, my time begins now. Judge, the first way you can vote for us today is on China. First, we're telling you China right now is testing the waters with America. That's SATO 20, which tells you that China is flying new ships and boats, like new airplanes across Taiwan to see America's reaction. If America reacts right now with an NFU, which is what China exactly wants, they'll view it as America no longer cares about their allies, such as Taiwan and the South China Sea. And they'll also view it as America won't go and attack China if it were to invade the South China Sea. So because of this, China will become more aggressive. They'll invade places in the South China Sea like Taiwan, which will lead to a quasi-world war, killing 80 million people. The reason why you weigh this over all their impacts is, first of all, on miscalculation. Like that's only like one nuke only kills like 100,000 people, right? Like we saw that in Hiroshima, it only killed 100,000 people. 1 million people never died just from one nuke. So we would tell you that's less than our 80 million. But then on their other China contention, like it's just talking about proliferation, but there's no end impact. So we would say you can't weigh against that. But then on their contention 3 about Iran, it only kills 6 million people. We say 80 million still outweighs. And then North Korea is only 10 million. 80 million still outweighs. So once we win this contention, and Ishan said nothing against this contention, let me remind you, that means we're winning the entire round. But then the second way that you can vote for us today is on Saudi Arabia. We tell you that Saudi Arabia depends on the U.S. for its nuclear protection. However, when the U.S. gets an NFU, Saudi Arabia will lash out in the form of proxy conflicts to protect itself, which has killed like 20 million people in Yemen. That's another easy way you can vote for us. The only really thing that like Ishan says against this is that like Saudi Arabia will never build nukes, but that's not what we're talking about. We're saying Saudi Arabia will lash out in the form of proxy wars. He's not even responding to our argument. And the only other thing he says is that Iran nuclearized will cause Saudi prolif, but we talked about how a Biden-Iran deal will solve for that. Now let's look at my opponent's case. On miscalc, what they never respond to is that like there's hotlines that can solve for miscalculation. So even if like they have some problem in technology, we can just call them and be like, hey, did you send a nuke? And they'll be like, no. And then we'll be like, okay. And there's no miscalculation. Also, people never want to really go to war. So there's never going to be miscalculation to the point that people will die. But then on their contention too about China, they dropped all my partners' responses to it. So you can't talk way China. And they also don't really have an impact. But then on their contention 3 about Iran, they never respond to how Biden and Iran will have a nuclear deal. Now, he talks about how a Republican president like Trump will come back again, but we would say a Democratic president will also come back again. So even if in the short term, like Iran gets off the deal, it'll come back in the long term. We say they would never get nukes. On North Korea, we would also tell you that Kim Jong-un is never actually going to negotiate because it's super duper scared of America, and an NFU doesn't like stop regime change or like conventional military invading. So he will never agree to negotiations. All right. Okay, that's time. So I went like really slow. Does anyone have any questions? Okay. Well, I just gave you my neg summary. So now, Ishan, when do you have to go?
Like 2 minutes.
Okay, never mind. Okay, so now, everyone, please make a neg summary as well. So don't just like copy what I said, but like, I kind of like gave you an idea of what a summary should do, right? So first, So you always want to go, at least in my opinion, you always want to go our case, their case. Because even if you run out of time to talk about your opponent's case, as long as you can explain why winning your case wins you the round, there's a reason the judge can vote for you. But if you only talk about your opponent's case, like, oh, he's wrong because of XYZ, and you don't talk about your case, there's no reason the judge should vote for you. There's only reasons like that Ishan's case isn't as great as he says it is, right? So, but that's not like there's no reason to vote for you, and that's what we call offense, right? It's solely defense, which is like rebuttals against your opponent's case. So you always want to go our case, their case, right? And our case, you have to extend your contention's idea. So like, you know, in the beginning, I was like, yeah, China is testing the waters. US NFU means China views it as a sign of appeasement, which means China will start a war, killing 80 million people, right? And then, so that's what you want to do. First, you want to extend your argument. Then you want to go over what your opponent said to your argument, right? So I talked about like, oh yes, the only thing, no, I said, yeah, Ishan never responds to this contention, so you can vote for us off there, right? So, but also on like Saudi Arabia, I mentioned like Ishan said this, he said that, but no, he's wrong because of X and Y, right? So I also responded to Ishan's rebuttals on my case. And then I went on to his case and extended some key pieces of defense so to make sure that the judge doesn't like vote for his case because he's obviously wrong, in my opinion. But okay, so now that you got an exemplar summary, I'll give you guys 2 minutes to prepare. And I'm expecting a 3-minute summary out of everyone, okay? So even if you like have no idea what to say, like you like said all your stuff and it was like 1 minute, you still want to use all 3 minutes. So I don't even care. You can just like recite my entire case again, right? Just so you're like, yeah, and you can just vote for us again on like XYZ and you don't even have to do anything else. So just make sure you're taking up all 3 minutes. I'll start that 2-minute timer now.
Wait, so what did Ishan say about China? I was a little confused about that part.
Yeah, Ishan didn't say anything against China, so that's like the easiest place that you can go for, right? Just be like, Ishan didn't say anything, so like literally 100% true. Ishan didn't say anything, right?
Wait, what was the impact for China that you had?
It's China has like China invading the South China Sea leads to a quasi world war which kills 80 million people. Right, y'all, 1 minute left. Thirty seconds. Five seconds. All right, that's time, y'all. Okay, let's hear those fire summaries. Okay, Juliana, let's hear yours first.
Why me?
Because you didn't flow last time, and I'm angry, so make sure y'all flow.
Well, no, I deleted my stuff.
But you said you didn't flow. You only wrote down what you were gonna say. But I explicitly
I know,
said
but
10 times before the round, please flow. So, anyways, it's okay. That's that. Please give your super fire rebuttal. I'm sure it'll be great. Hello, can we hear your summary? The girl dipped. Okay. Oh, she's back. Juliana, can we hear your summary now? What did you say, Ethan?
Never mind.
Okay. All right, Juliana, let's take it away. Take it away.
Okay, I only have like 2 points because I deleted everything from last time, so just don't mind me at all. Okay. So, North Korea's starvation provides an incentive for them to focus on, 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 on the sake of their citizens rather than nuclear proliferation, and because like you can't protect or like something that you don't have, because like if everyone dies in North Korea, then there's no point in proliferating. And he also drops the China impact. Therefore, he concedes and agrees that 80 million people will die from the quasi-war that will kill that. Yeah, and which and since that outweighs like 6 million and like every other impact that he has, therefore we win. More
Gotta
last time.
Keep going. Keep going. You have 2 minutes left.
I don't even know what the other. Oh, okay, all right. So I forgot what South Korea was about, but I think, if South Korea proliferates, then okay, I don't have anything else.
No, you gotta like, even if you don't have anything else, you gotta explain China. You gotta like explain North Korea. Like, whatever you remember, just like ramble on and on for like 2
I
minutes.
don't remember anything. All right. Saudi Arabia and Iran's conflict will also result in a war which will end up killing people, I suppose. And that's all I know about that thing because I don't understand anything else. And uh,
You have 1 minute. Keep going. You gotta be like, Judge, my opponent has been so disrespectful. He's so dumb. You can't like, I can't believe he dropped China. Like, what a big mistake to have made. Keep going. Keep going. You have a minute left.
and if China sees America as appeasing them, then they would become more aggressive and would thus start uh, improving and advancing their military, and would therefore become like a very large threat. And U.S. and China allies will clash, resulting in a very big war. And um,
Okay. Okay, sure. All right. Who's gonna go next? Ethan. Let's hear yours.
Last, please.
You want to go last? How about this? Everyone, I will assign you numbers, and whatever Google tells us will happen. So John Gunn, you're 1, Williams 2, Ethan's 3, Daniel's 4,
We didn't even get to choose.
and Miles is 5. I know, it's too much work to choose Google number.
Wait, I'm 3? What? Okay. At least I'm not 4.
All right, the order is 1, 5, 3, 2, 4.
What?
So, John Gunn, let's hear yours.
This is why This is why we should have chosen numbers instead.
Okay. Let's hear it. 3 minutes.
China is trying to see how far China can go before the U.S. starts to defend their land and their alliances. If China would find out that if China would find that the U.S. gets an NFU, they would be considered weak. So China would increase their aggression. China has structured their military power on stopping American defense when offense when they would attack them by using guided missiles at American troops to eliminate the troops before they even touch Chinese soil. A Chinese move to gain control of the South China Sea, flagrant enough to force the U.S. armed intervention, would drag in great powers with alliances or interests in region, also leading to a huge world war. If this were to happen, then the conflict can cause up more than 80 million deaths. This is why the U.S. shouldn't do an NFU.
Nora, you have 2 minutes left. Gotta talk about your opponent's case.
Oh no. Kind of forgot the other.
It's okay. Just say like Ishan's wrong. Just like make up stuff. Or just say like why China is important for the round.
China is important because it has all sorts of stuff that creates silk, and has humid grounds that can also product other great products. If there were an alliance between those two, then America gets an NFU. Because of the alliance, then no war would happen between them, and also not leading to a world war. Therefore, if an alliance with the U.S. and China were to happen, millions of lives could be saved.
Okay, great. Okay, number 5, Miles. Miles, hello?
Left.
Isn't he right here?
Hush. No one will know.
That is confusing. Oh, you put us on hold. Okay. Who's next? 3. Ethan, it's your turn. All right. Google has said it is your turn.
But Google's unreliable. Like,
But
they're very unreliable sources. You probably got it from that one.
maybe. Okay, let's hear it though.
Okay. Okay, while my opponent did not say anything about China, we say that China is currently testing new waters with nuclear weapons at the moment. China and US are at bad tensions right now because of other conflicts. When the US does adopt a no first use policy, China will take that the US does not care about China anymore, or that the US is weak and will become more aggressive. This will cause China to do bad actions such as invade other places, for example, in the China Sea. This would have a chance of a world war which would kill millions of people. Therefore, not having an NFU policy will result in saving millions of lives. I didn't really finish this part, but we also said that Saudi Arabia will attack other countries and have a proxy war, which would kill many people if the US has an NFU policy. This is because the Saudi Arabia will feel threatened because it is no longer under the US's nuclear umbrella. My opponent said that Saudi Arabia will not proliferate because of other problems that Saudi Arabia has, but we disagree and say that it will take its protection more important. That's all I got.
Okay, what about Ishan's case? Why is he wrong? Will miscalc ever happen? Let's talk about that.
Oh, the miss. Um, um,
Right, so Ishan's like people accidentally stumble into war. Does that make sense?
yeah. So like my opponent has said that without an NF no first use policy, people could accidentally stumble into a war because of miscalculation, but this is not true. New radar technology will increase the chance of no wait a minute.
It decreases, right?
Yeah. It will decrease the chance of miscalculations and will save a lot of lives.
Okay, great. That was 3 minutes. All right. Next is 2. So William, let's hear yours.
Okay. First, my opponent did not state anything about China, but I stated that China is testing the seas in the South China Sea next to the allies of the U.S., such as Taiwan. And if the U.S. gets an NFU, this is a sign that that tells China that the U.S. is weak and they are vulnerable and will become more aggro, and and then this might cause a massive world war, and a world war would lead to more than 80 million people dying, so not adopting a NFU will save lives. Also, my opponent talks about miscalculation, but because of the new technology, it is the chance of getting technology and new things, the chance of miscalculation is low. And my opponent also talks about people accidentally going into war, which is nonsense because people do not start wars accidentally. Also, because of the new radar technology that exists today, people will be able to detect it, I guess. Also, my opponent talks about Iran and how there's gonna be a Biden deal, but actually, wait, no, never mind.
Why is China the most important one?
What?
Why is China the most important thing to talk about?
Oh, because my opponent didn't state anything about it.
And
it is.
Mhm.
It's testing the seas.
Exactly. So it's happening right now, but also 80 million.
Yeah, didn't I already said that in the beginning. Did I say it again?
No, say like why does 80 million matter more than your opponent's case?
Because in my opponent's case, they stated that around 1 million people might die, but 80 million is considerably greater than 1 million. So, saving 70 million people's lives is more important.
Exactly. All right, Daniel, it's your turn. Daniel, Faith, hello. Earth to Daniel, Faith. We're just gonna wait here awkwardly. Okay, so while we awkwardly wait for Daniel, let me give some feedback to everyone. So for John Gunn, I think you did really good. You like covered a lot of places on the flow. You talked about North Korea. You also talked about China, and you also kind of, I forgot if you talked about Saudi Arabia. I'm not sure, but you covered a lot of the flow. That was really good. And I think the best part about your summary was that like you really explained it well, right? So I think everyone should like look at John Gunn as the his summary was a good example of how you should explain your contentions to like lay judges, because you know they might like forget the contention throughout the round as everything gets muddled. So you want to really make it clear again. He really made clear like every single step of the link chain, right? So he says, first, China is testing the waters. Second, if the U.S. got an NFU, it would see the U.S. as weak, right? And the really important part here is he says like the warranting or the reasoning why a US NFU would be bad, right? He says China would see a US NFU as weak, which increases Chinese aggression, right? Whereas a lot of other people in their summaries, they were just like, oh, a US NFU means China becomes more aggressive, right? But like that doesn't make like direct sense to like the judge, right? So it's really good that you are explaining like why a US NFU would lead to increased Chinese aggression, right? And then he gives a third step, which means you know, like China can stop, it can like win a war against the US because it has like these amazing missiles. And then fourth, he talks about China invasion of South China Sea leads to huge war, which kills 80 million people, right? And I think, yeah, that's really good overall. For John Gunn feedback, I would say that you could do a little bit more weighing. So like you already have the contention, like you basically won the contention because Ishan didn't say anything against it, right? So I think first you should point out Ishan didn't say anything against this, so you're giving us like 100% probability that'll happen, but also 100% access to our impacts and our link story, right? And then this completely outweighs their case, first on probability because they didn't respond to it, but also second on magnitude because like 80 million is bigger than anything on their case. And then for Ethan, I thought you did a really good job of talking about both China and Saudi Arabia. Oh wait, that was the last time. No, I think you did a really good job talking about China, like especially the part where you talk about like China is testing the tensions right now. I would just say like my feedback for you is that make sure like when you say kills millions of people, like it's not exactly like we're not sure how many millions, right? Like because Ishan's case also kills millions of people. So you really want to make sure you say like 80 million people to like drive the idea home that you're really winning the round today. And then on their case, I like that you brought up Hannah's rebuttal. The new radar technology decreases the chance of miscalculation, right? That's completely right. Yeah. And then for William, I think you had a really, really good rebuttal. Actually, I really liked it. I think it was really good because you talked about like China and you explained it really well. You also gave the 80 million number. And then you also like covered it really well because you had like not only did you have China, but you also had you talked about miscalc and how people don't accidentally start wars, and you talked about the Iran Biden deal. So I think overall like coverage was really good. So that you like talked about a lot of points in the debate, right? Okay, so as a very quick drill for the last 7 minutes, what we're gonna do is weighing. So I think we should go over weighing again. Okay, so basically what weighing is there's like three main ways to vote. Okay, first is on time, second is on magnitude, and third is on probability, right? So everyone probably knows what probability is, right? Does anyone have like any questions about probability? It's just like how likely is your impact to happen, right? So let's say like let's say one impact is like you are getting struck by a lightning bolt, and the other impact is you get 100% on the test. right? So the chances that you getting struck by a lightning bolt is like 1 in like 700,000. Like it's very, very, very small. Like you literally just stay inside your house and you'd probably be fine. And then chances of you getting 100% on a test is probably a lot higher, right? Like if you like study hard enough, it'd probably be like easy enough. So the probability of getting 100% on a test outweighs the probability of getting struck by a lightning bolt, right? So the test is winning on probability. That's one way we can talk about probability. That's the inherent probability of something, right? So the inherent probability that a lightning bolt strikes you is very low. The inherent probability that you can get 100 is pretty high. But when we put responses on these arguments, right, like my opponent is wrong in saying that like a lightning bolt, like the chance of a lightning bolt striking you is very low because like I would say that like now like we have like with climate change, like there's so much more like storms and stuff, and like there's a lot higher chance of like a lightning bolt striking you, right? And then like against the grades, like 100%, you could say like, no, my opponent's completely wrong because there's like a lot of lazy kids who like don't even show up to take tests nowadays because they just sleep all day, right? Which means that like there's a 0% probability that they're gonna get 100% because they're not even gonna take the test, right? So that's not inherent probability. That's like a rebuttal probability, right? Like so the probability of the thing changes throughout the round as you make more responses to it. Now magnitude, there's two kinds. I would say basically magnitude and severity. So magnitude is like how many people, or like how like basically how many people or how many numbers do you have, right? So 100% on one test versus like one lightning strike on one person, like the magnitude is the same, right? They both affect one person. But I mean, I guess you could argue that like, oh no, like if the lightning strikes, like your family's gonna have to pay all the bills and it's gonna be like so bad, right? So it's gonna affect like your entire family. But the same could be said for your grades. Like, oh, your mom's gonna like have a heart attack because she's so angry about your F that like, you know, like it'll affect your whole family, right? So you can like implicate your impact in different ways, right? So it doesn't have to be just you look at like, oh, one person lightning bolt, one person test, right? And then the next way to weight is severity. So basically severity is like, obviously a lightning bolt is a lot more severe than getting 100 on test, right? Like, so if you didn't get 100 on test, even if you got a 0 on the test, like there wouldn't be much difference. Like you wouldn't die. Like your health doesn't go down that much, right? But if you got struck by a lightning bolt, like you probably are going to die. So the severity of a lightning bolt is a lot worse. And then the third way is on time frame, right? So like let's say your test happens tomorrow. Like so your like time frame happens right away. Your test, you get 100 on the test tomorrow, right? But the lightning bolt time frame is a lot longer. You say like, oh, the lightning bolt happens in a year because we're all in quarantine, we're all inside, and as long as you're inside, you're not going to be struck by a lightning bolt. So it's like one day until quarantine is over that you'll be struck by lightning. So you can be like, so that's why it's more important, like just get the good grades now and then you can worry about the lightning later. Like you could probably like find out ways to stop lightning in the future, but you need to do good on this test first, right? So that's on time frame. And yeah, okay, so we have 3 minutes left. So can I get like 2 volunteers who want to like do this drill? Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna explain the rules this week, and then we'll do the drill next week. And by the way, on the week of Christmas, we're not gonna have, unless you want to. But oh wait, is next week Christmas? All right, screw that. I will see you guys on the 30th. So 12/30. Okay. So yeah, let's not have class on Christmas. I don't want to do that to you guys. So next week we won't have class, but the following week we will. Does anyone have like any questions? Okay, well, enjoy your winter break. Don't forget to not procrastinate on your homework. Bye, kids.
Wait, so we don't have any homework?
No, y'all don't have homework.